And a lot of people were like, oh, he's not like a leftist. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm glad. You know what I mean? It is virtually the best possible sequence of events for in terms of like broad public reception. That he's a clean cut, up and coming, a kid from a wealthy family, went to a private school, got the best education.
We are just learning fingerprint comparisons made between prints collected at the scene of the Brian Thompson murder compared with prints taken in the arrest process of Luigi Mangione show a positive match. Two law enforcement officials briefed on the matter have just confirmed to CNN. We're going to have more on that in just a moment. Also this...
It could be anybody. Hey! A total coincidence! Wrong place, wrong time. Everybody calm the down. It's really up. Free my boy Luigi.
Mangione is still
what
behind
the fuck
bars
are you
in
doing?
Pennsylvania after a judge denied him bail. Before his court appearance, that was yesterday, he
had gloves? No, dude, he wasn't wearing gloves. No, he quite literally was not wearing gloves. Some of you guys are... I can't tell if some of you guys are like memeing. They showed your edits on Fox last night. That's amazing.
He yelled and struggled against officers once he turned and saw that the media was standing outside the courthouse. And police now say a notebook that they found on him has a so-called to-do list in it from before the killing, as well as a reported reference to deciding not to use a bomb to target the victim so he would...
Bro, this guy literally is a go-getter. Like, I can't believe we are yelling at people now for being go-getters. Like, he's a real type A personality, dude. What? I mean, look, why did he write that? Okay, first of all, I think we just had a conversation about how it's not weird to have notes like that on your notes app on your phone. So I think, you know, to each their own, okay? To each their own. I think you got to cool it a little bit with whatever people decide to write in their notes app, all right?
Not, quote unquote, kill innocents. Also new this morning, disturbing video of what appears to be wanted posters popping up around New York City for other health executives. All of this as the suspect's lawyer is now speaking out about offers they say they've received to pay from outside to pay for his legal fees.
Obviously, my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I just, I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really. The Supreme Court says, you know, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client.
Joining us right now, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, CNN Law Enforcement Contributor Steve Moore, also here with me. John, this is your new reporting, and this is a big deal. This is the first positive forensic match that we know of. Walk us through what you've learned.
So, fingerprints collected at the scene of the Thompson murder from a plastic water bottle, from a discarded cell phone, the so-called burner phone, have now been compared against the arrest fingerprints taken by police in Altoona of the suspect. And yesterday they were able to make a match to the prints that they collected at the scene. Not a surprise in some regard, in that they had an individual allegedly with a gun and a silencer and a mask and those things, but it is the first scientific forensic match that joins the growing pile of circumstantial evidence that they can say, well, how else would it be someone if that fingerprint is here and he's there with that gun and so on. Now, there's more, which is DNA evidence still pending, ballistic tests still pending. Part of that is because the gun was recovered in Pennsylvania. To match that to be the same gun, they would have to obtain it, fire it, test it, compare the shell casings and the bullets. But this is a big deal.
It is a big deal because, you know, to this point, that could be one of the things that you could hear from the suspect's attorney saying, you don't know if this is the guy. This wasn't me. We talked about this, right? Like, you could say this isn't me, this guy with a mask and this, whatever. But this is
I think there's something really funny about blurring the faces on the wanted posters of just like CEOs. It's publicly available information. Yeah, just go online. You can figure it out, okay? I know they're trying to delete this information. They're trying to delete the web pages where you can see like the corporate executives of publicly owned companies. But for the time being, you can just straight up see where it is. Now, why, oh why are they this worried about the safety and security of the CEOs? If it's just a couple weirdos online that would never feel this way in public, why are they that worried about showing the faces of public CEOs? It's so strange. Elizabeth Warren actually had a pretty solid quote here on this. But yeah.
Scientific connection, forensic connection between the two. Talk to me more about ballistics. Is it just a logistical kind of obstacle that needs to be overcome in order to get confirmation or not that the ballistics match, do you think? Or,
you know, the gun is actually the charge that they are holding him on in Pennsylvania. So that evidence needs to stay with him because, you know, they are the ones who have him in custody, and he has not waived extradition, which basically says, I'm not going to New York, where they would then turn over all that evidence to New York City and then have them do those tests. But they understand, you know, they are in it for the long game. They don't need to know that tomorrow or the next day. And it gives them more time to do the background investigation they're still doing, which includes mundane things, but very necessary things like completing the video canvas, tightening up that map where they can show a picture of him almost through every step of his New York journey.
I want to get to more of that, but Steve, let me bring you in on this. Just
Creeps.
the importance of what...
Creeps. That's creepy. You don't have to do that. You should stop doing that right now. That's creepy. You know what I mean? That's just weird, man. That's weirdo behavior. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Ew. There's a word for that. It's illegal. It's called stalking, okay? It's called stalking, chat. Is he going to get the life sentence? Bro, they're going to throw the book at this point. Okay? I'll just say it like this. There are a lot of conspiracies running rampant right now with like 285, the number. And as you guys know, I think like recognizing numerical patterns is a telltale sign of schizophrenia. I will say personally, or 286, sorry, not 285. I will say a lot of people are crazy. And that's it.
What John Miller has learned about this fingerprint match.
Yeah, as we've learned, something can look like a slam dunk case, but a lawyer can find just niches or cracks in any kind of strong case. And what they're doing now is filling up the cracks. They're eliminated any doubt before they go to trial that this is the person who committed this crime. He's already fighting. He's already shown what he's going to do. He's going to fight every single motion, even a perfunctory extradition motion. So he isn't.
This is such a strange thing to say, by the way, because like, yeah, no shit. Yeah, he should. Everyone should. Like, I don't understand this idea. Like, even if you're dead to rights, even if they got you dead to rights, you still should. Why wouldn't you? The entire system is designed to allow you to get off on process. Like, that's the job of a lawyer. Yeah, it's called exercising your rights, you know?
Going to go quietly on this. So the police are obviously dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
For sure. And John, something that we've talked about, and I guess it still remains, you know, there are so many questions that remain. And I'm wondering if this notebook that we're learning more about kind of adds to this picture is, how did this guy know that the CEO was going to be where he was going to be when he was? So, is that where the line of thinking is in investigating how we learn more about that?
There are clues. I mean, you know it because you've been by there, but that New York Hilton hotel takes up, you know, half of a full city block. It has doors all the way down 53rd Street and all the way down 54th Street, and a front door and a rear driveway. That's like 20 entrances you would have.
Well, I mean, it's too big. It's big then. It's big. He could have just randomly touched a doorknob. You know what I mean?
To cover to know where is this guy going to enter the hotel. But you would also have to know, what if he is going to enter from this side because I have learned he's staying at the hotel across the street. How would you know that? He gives us an oblique reference in the 3-page note that we've loosely called the manifesto, where he says, you know, this wasn't that difficult. It was a combination of social engineering and computer-assisted design, an engineer term, CAD he referred to it as. But I think what he's telling us there on the social engineering side is, this is what people do when they create an email, you know, a spoof email or a phone call saying, you know, I have a delivery, which, you know, where do I bring that, posing as somebody else. He's suggesting that he learned intelligence information on his target by doing that kind of thing. But then when you get out of the note and into the spiral notebook, and he acknowledges this in the note as well. He said, you know, my electronics you're going to find are pretty locked down, but in the spiral notebook you'll see to-do lists and other notes. Some of those notes are theoretical notes about targeting and, you know, what is the just way to commit such a crime. He talks about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and how if he modeled after him, a bomb in a shareholders conference could kill, you know, innocent people. Same on the street. But he talks about.
It is pretty crazy that every new information that I've heard about this guy it hasn't led me to hate him. You know what I mean? Like, he's clear-eyed. He's like, he has a decent conscience on the matter. He is demure. He's mindful. The media is doing a piss poor job of presenting him as like a bad dude, if that's their goal. Maybe this will. Is it the beer bottle one? Yeah, no, it won't. It makes them look cool as fuck. Innocent people at a shareholder conference? No, there are. No, it's an uncontrollable. It's a bomb is not controllable. Like, there are a lot of unknowns. You can cook it too hard. Like, you're not. Guys, why do you think I talked about the terrorism angle when talking about the exploding walkie-talkies? Because there are people that are going to be in the vicinity of your target that you have no control over. It's an uncontrolled environment. There can be secondary explosions. There can be random workers that are, you know, innocent and just working in the room. Think about what happened with the beepers. So apparently Mangione, who the entire political establishment has been very willing to condemn, showed more restraint than a genocidal government that same establishment has unconditionally given billions of dollars to. Yeah. Shinzo Abe's killer came to the same conclusion. He was using a pipe bomb, but decided that was too risky, so he built the doohickey. Yeah. It's also almost impossible to get a bomb there. I don't think so. I mean, I think that if there's a will, there's a way. You know what I mean? I would have told you that it's impossible to time the CEO's morning walk up to the conference and figure out exactly which door he's going to come out of. But he was able to do that. I'm telling you. I mean, this is wild, but like, he very clearly was like, I don't want to kill like random people. I want some targets.
About, you know, shooting being the more precise way to take on his target. In one line he says, and what better way to take out the CEO than to shoot him at his own, quote, bean counters conference.
Yep. An investor conference is exactly what you could say that is.
Right.
And Steve, what do you think? There's so much that is coming out. I mean, this reporting from John is most significant about the forensic that they're now positively IDing. What questions do you have that remain now, Steve, and where you would say, you know, leaning on your experience with the FBI, where you think this investigation focuses a lot of its energy now?
Well,
we have to remember, just like Shabiba, all these CNN fucks are millionaires, are making 6 figures yearly. The producers who decide the angle, etc., all are part of the same class. It's not that simple. The shooter himself comes from a very wealthy family. I make more money than the average CNN anchor. There's a difference. They are tasked with undermining the truth. They are tasked with defending the established hierarchy. That's it. Like, she's not a capital owner. She's a wage laborer. Her job is, her job gives her a salaried wage. I think this is more so a matter of like what you're tasked with. Defending capital in the interest of capital, in the interest of corporations, or even just the pre-existing social constructs, and deflecting the attention away from why people are angry is her primary concern. It's not necessarily her her net worth that causes her to feel this way. There are some who operate on that boundary. I think like the likes of Ben Shapiro or whatever. But it's really interesting to think because, like, I mean, Bill Burr, also rich. You know what I mean? Bill Burr is a rich guy. He gets it. I'm a well-off guy. I get it. I understand it. I think it's more so about being out of touch with the average person. Or rather, not necessarily being out of touch with the average person, but instead, like defending the preordained, pre-established hierarchies that you are tasked with defending. So your logic, if you're angry, it gives you the right to kill CEOs. Sick take. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think the coverage of this so far from the media has been, the people are angry, but we don't understand why, and they shouldn't be angry. And even if they are, well, it's just like a marginal number of people that are angry. It's not actually the broader, the larger swaths of society. It's just like random lefties that are yelling. And while I don't think that killing a random healthcare CEO is going to be the solution, or that vigilante justice is good, I don't think that at all. I'm simply more interested in not just looking at this with like, well, murder isn't good. Like, I think that's a simple take. I think the more interesting analysis here is to recognize that that person is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths a year, and he gets paid to do that. And the invisibility of that death that is hidden under the way that our systems are designed is important to recognize. But because this kind of death and this kind of violence, this structural violence, is so pervasive that virtually every single American has at least one bad encounter with a healthcare provider, okay, with a healthcare insurance company, that they don't give a that this guy got killed. And I think that's worthy of examination. Understanding why people are upset is worthy of examination, because we're looking at the singular murder of the CEO, not recognizing that that person, in the eyes of so many Americans, is responsible for the singular murder of their loved one, the pain and torment caused to their loved one, the medical bankruptcy of a loved one, or even themselves. You know, I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this. Instead of taking like the most blanket neurodivergent attitude, like, and being like, Hasan is saying it's awesome. When someone is angry, they should be able to kill the person that has angered them. Do you get it? When my dad was dying in the hospital, his insurance refused to cover food for him. Every day I think about how hungry he must have been as he died. It keeps me up at night. He wasn't the CEO of Walmart. What do you mean? I mean, the CEO of Walmart is also responsible for a shit ton of awfulness. But I want to hear back from that chatter. I want to hear like what their response is to what I'm saying. But I think their goal in this circumstance was to simply vent and talk about how frustrated they are, perhaps because they have an immediate loved one who's an executive at a health insurance company or some shit, or maybe because they just cannot comprehend the argument that I'm making, or refuse to see it, and want to make it seem as though I'm saying something that is a straw man, something that is like easier to tackle, maybe bait a clip. I don't think they're a bot. They've been subscribed for months at this point.
You've got a lot of the basic building blocks of this case already being nailed down. What I'd want to do is shore up the areas where you don't have direct knowledge yet, or at least they haven't said they have direct knowledge of the shooter's actions. For instance, before a shareholders conference like this, they're going to be setting up for about a week. They're going to do rehearsals and speeches and stuff. I would want to know where he was. We have cameras and everything on the day of shooting, but I'd like to see cameras around the entrances and find out whether Thompson did the same thing for several mornings, or whether maybe somebody in the hotel actually provided him information. I suspect he went a week early, and I suspect he was doing canvassing and surveillance that entire time.
It's interesting when you talk about that, because that's the backward building of this video canvas. He comes in on the 24th. That's like 10 days before the actual shooting. And where they have tracked him is he comes out of the Port Authority bus terminal and does not go to check into the hostel where he's going to stay. He goes straight with all of his bags to the Hilton Hotel, and he starts doing those walkarounds. But they also have him in a McDonald's, which we now know, I guess, was his preference for hanging out.
I was going to say his preferred stop along the way, for sure. John, thanks for running up and giving us the new reporting. Steve, thank you as always. It's good to see you.
The suspect that is charged in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, fighting extradition back here to New York. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Pennsylvania courtroom yesterday. You can see him shouting angrily as he entered the building. Law enforcement now focusing on alleged writings by Mangione for clues about a potential motive. We're going to speak to his lawyer in a moment, but first let's go to senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky outside the prison there in Pennsylvania with the latest for us. Good morning to you, Aaron.
Good morning, Robin. The 26-year-old suspect is now being held at this prison without bail after fighting extradition.
Can we talk about the difference in his popular reception because he's white? Like, if he was black or Latino dude from the hood, it would not be all received with this kind of energy. Obviously, we'll feel the same about him, but it's still low-key frustrating. I don't give a shit. I mean, you're not wrong, but it doesn't matter. You're looking at give horse in the mouth. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to bring up in this situation. That's not leftist. It's like, why did you add from the hood to that? That's what he said, did he not? You think I randomly added from the hood? One must ask the question, why you thought I added that instead of reading it out right? No, don't say you meant him now after you said, oh, how is it crazy? No, he's saying me. It's crazy because the point of this is a moment of like weird class transcendence in the way that people are interpreting the situation. And you're being an annoying radlib about it, straight up. Like in a very unique moment where you got like people on the right straight up being like, yeah, no, this is like, I'm not angry about this at all because I've experienced something similar. You go, oh, what if in a hypothetical he was black? Everyone would hate the guy. Yeah, okay, sure. Who gives a shut the up? You know what I mean? Like, you're right. You're not wrong, but there's no reason to bring this up. It comes across as like wrecker behavior. You know what I mean? You're not making a unique or profound point. And a lot of people were like, oh, he's not like a leftist. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm glad. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are crazy. Who cares? It is virtually the best possible sequence of events in terms of like broad public reception. That he's a clean cut, up and coming, a kid from a wealthy family, went through a private school, got the best education. Y'all are dumb as shit. Stop fantasizing about like alternative scenarios in your mind to make this seem like somehow it's it's bad that people feel this way or are open and cognizant of their anger. What is this? His ass is getting cooked in his own house. This guy, so many people here think that he has good policy ideas. He's making a complete straw man in order to defend the U.S. insurance system.
Okay. Let me know. You sit at your computer and this is what happens. A thing comes in and it goes, oh, doctor is requesting this, okay? And then they have another screen and it says, here are our standards of care and here's what we provide. And then you look at this, you make sure there are no contraindications for the prescription or the treatment or whatever. And then as long as everything matches and you click, okay, approve, or you see there's a contraindication or there's some other thing that you suggest first, you go, oh, okay, deny. That's how it is. The CEO is not walking up and down the aisles and being like, oh, that deny them. We need to make more money on that.
I oftentimes wonder like who this is for. Whenever I hear commentary like this, where I just don't understand it. Like, what's the purpose here? Because becoming a hyper specific, ultra autistic process guy in this situation doesn't change the dynamic, doesn't change the reception. It doesn't, like, people still have their claims denied, and the CEO in this situation is just a standalone figure that is signing off on all of those actions. He's at the tippy top, okay? Like, this person didn't kill him because the CEO directly, immediately went into the files and was like, deny that person's like back injury claims. I think this is a part of what a lot of debate lords do, where they just like want to always be right, and they want to also always be contrarian. So when there isn't anything that you can grab onto, you just get like ultra specific. It's like, well, the CEO directly is not causing this. It's like, well, no, the CEO is responsible. That's why he gets paid the amount of money he gets paid. And yeah, the CEO signs off on it at the end of the day. He is basically the standalone figurehead for all of the wrong and maybe all of the right that the company is engaging in. The CEO is just as responsible for the deaths as Charles Manson is. He doesn't have to pull the trigger, but that's it. The difference between Charles Manson and the CEO, however, is that the CEO gets money off of making sure the profit margins stay at least 6%, okay? But the process in which those profit margins get up to 6%, there are a shit ton of denials, okay? There are a shit ton of denials. And those denials are absolutely causing so much pain, so much suffering. This is before we even factor in to the equation the necessity for privatized healthcare. It does not need to exist. Maybe as an alternative, if you already had a pretty fat, pretty robust social safety net in the form of some kind of socialized medicine structure, but that's not where we're at. Just because the CEO is not directly engaging in this process doesn't change that reality. What is this? What is this? I mean, Destiny is right. How can you speak on the insurance industry if you've never had someone who worked in the industry? Don't speak on it. You're right. My apologies. I had no idea how the insurance structure worked. You're right. I have to literally be someone who works in the insurance industry. It seems to me like you are someone who works in the insurance industry. And although you are a low-ranking employee, you somehow feel the pain of this CEO. I don't understand what the f is going on there. I am not a part of the Israeli occupying force, nor have I ever been a part of any sort of military structure, but I think I can offer decent analysis on all of the war crimes that the Israeli government is engaging in. I am not a chicken, but I know how to make a scrambled egg. This is not a decent counter argument, chatter. This is yet another major issue that I have with debate lords, where they're just like bad. They're bad at arguing, but they think they're good at arguing because they think that they can LARP like the person that they're watching. It's very strange. That is the dumbest comment you can make. You're not talking to me, you're talking to him, right? It is a crazy thing to say that, like, well, you don't work in the insurance industry, so you have no idea how this stuff works. You could turn around and tell me what is wrong about my analysis, but just simply hitting it with this blanket statement might make you feel like you have made an intelligent point of contention, but it's not. It's very stupid. It is directly at odds with what I do as a political commentator. Insurance is just a collateralization of risk. Profit should not be a part of it at all. It kind of seems like what you're telling me is we should socialize it like a singular pool. Also, the irony here is this conversation. Like, the irony here is you think I have never talked to someone who works in the insurance industry when perhaps one of the people that DM me the most frequently is Warren Gunnels. Like, literally nonstop. Warren Gunnels is the Majority Staff Director for Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee Chairman for Senator Bernie Sanders. Warren Gunnels, in his past at least, was an insurance executive. Like, literally. Perhaps the person who DMs me the most frequently. You shouldn't speak on matters regarding trust busting because you're not the chair of the FTC. Yeah. I don't know why this person has not responded. So many people. What is this? I found this channel yesterday, dude. People are insane. 13 subscribers. Why are you showing me this shit? Like, Jesus Christ. Yes, dude. I have rabid and entirely psychotic hate watchers. I know. Some of them you can hear in the broadcast right now. They come in and they chime in and they chirp. What is this? Balls in your court, Hasanabi. I'm so down. Oh, hell yeah. I'm down as this misinformation machine. Anyway, let's continue with this take.
Like, oh, today, guys, lottery day. If the person that you're approving or denying care for, if their name starts with the letter D, we deny today because D for denial. Making more money today. Or, guys, it's December. You want your Christmas bonuses? Highest denial server or highest denial worker gets a bonus for $40,000 on your paycheck. Like, this doesn't happen. The parts of these systems and the employees that work on.
Dude, they literally use the AI. They use the AI with a 90% failure rate specifically to increase the amount of denials that they were engaging in. And they don't have to do it directly. Yes, it is an indirect form of violence. It's just such a weird thing to shadow box against, because I don't think most people are making this argument. You're either voluntarily misunderstanding the argument that people are making, or you are deliberately making up a different argument that you think is at least weak enough. It's not one that like any real person believes. And it also does not change the reality on the side of the victims. It's a very strange way to operate. But I guess it's ironic because Destiny and his weirdo fans will always say Hasan is too scared of debate. Okay? He's too scared of debate. He's too afraid, even though I debate plenty. And then they'll follow up and say, no, he only talks to like dumbasses. Dumbasses in his chat, which is ironic because he's calling his own fan base dumbasses, because most of those people that chirp at me are usually coming from his fan base. But having said that, at least I'm like responding to a real person in my chat. He's just making this concept up, or rather responding to, like, again, someone that he saw on Twitter, like a point that they made that he didn't fully understand. The real purpose here, in my opinion, the real purpose here is to try to address what the actual pressure point is, okay? It also is pretty crazy. Yeah, the only reason they have to use AI is because they cannot legally instruct humans to deny at the rate they wish to, so they could blame the over-eager AI denials as kinks in the process. Yes, it's plausible deniability. That's all this is. And it's ironic because the other institution that he defends vociferously, Israel, also utilizes a similar structure in the form of lavender AI targeting systems, according to Israeli investigative reporters over at Local Call and 972 magazine. The lavender AI targeting system operates in an identical capacity. Most of the AI that is utilized in this day and age is not to actually be correct. It's actually utilized in instances where you can be incorrect, and it's good to be incorrect. Lavender AI targeting systems that create new targets at a rate that is far higher than normal human processing is done deliberately. It's done deliberately because Israel does not care about killing random civilians. This way, they also get an additional way to say, look, we didn't choose to do this. I guess we got it a little wrong. Oopsie.
Are so disconnected from the actual CEOs themselves. The idea that there's like some guy just like, oh, deny you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just not how these jobs work.
Who's saying that? I mean, I'm sure there's people that don't fully grasp it, but many people are using the CEO as a placeholder for the awfulness that they've experienced from the insurance industry. And I think the reality of the matter is, yes, the CEO is signing off on all of the awful shit that the company is doing. That's why they get paid $10 million a year. This CEO did, at least. I wonder what compels someone like Destiny to be so aggressively a status quo defender. I genuinely don't understand it. There was a point in time when he wasn't rich. You know what I mean? It's not like he's super far removed from being broke. He has no values or morals or ethics. He goes with a win. Yeah, no. Desperation to be the adult in the room and unwavering belief in institutions / hierarchies. I know, but like, this isn't an adult-like attitude to have. This is actually an idealistic attitude to have. I'll explain. the American healthcare structure, the American for-profit healthcare structure is like fundamentally busted, okay? It's the most expensive and it has some of the shittiest outcomes. It is not a system that needs to exist at all, but even in comparable countries where there are some at least like gap covering private healthcare providers, they're still heavily regulated. They're far cheaper overall. It's a shitty mediator that does not need to exist, especially in the United States of America. It would be far cheaper to the American public if we had abolished it in its entirety. And if you work in the private healthcare system and you're like, well, Hasan, I'm going to lose my job. First of all, that's not even the case. Unless you are quite literally a CEO, you are most likely not in a replaceable position. You are ironically doing something that the government is still going to have to do, depending on whichever way we change the healthcare structure to be more ethical, or rather, I'll use a term that people care about, efficient. CEOs are replaceable too. Yes, they are. Trust me, I know. I'm just saying that like CEOs in that situation would most likely not exist, whereas the paper pushers still would. Someone still needs to process claims. Someone still needs to file paperwork. So your job, regardless of the private or public structure, would most likely still exist, or at least some form of your job would still exist. The CEO's job, on the other hand, would not. Like, as someone who has direct personal connections to someone who's an exec in the industry, he's so objectively wrong, it's insane. Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why this is something that he chose to argue on. He's so pressed on defending the insurance system in the U.S. What does he gain out of this from defending it so hard when the majority of people in the U.S. hate the insurance system? He has nothing to gain from defending it at all. I have no clue. My guess is he likes being a contrarian. He also has some pretty terrible takes on Palestine lately. Probably. He and his community just like the debate. If Hasan was making this exact point, you can bet his fans will be on the other side. I like that random people know that, like, he just takes the contrarian position to whatever the my opinion is. Like, I don't think that's the case. I don't fully understand what the ambitions are here, what the motivations are here. I don't think I'll ever understand it. It is a very strange way to operate. He's violently afraid of being wrong, so he's trying to stay safe. That's really interesting. If he was violently afraid of being wrong, he should probably agree with me a lot more, because lo and behold, you might not agree with this, but I feel like I'm vindicated quite frequently. It takes time, but it always happens at the end. But yeah, he is just wrong in general. It's just how you make money. This is how private healthcare works. They make money by doing everything in their physical power to make sure you don't get the proper coverage. Anyway, I've seen his fan claim he earned millions a month on Twitch only. That should make me laugh. Yeah, they also claim that my dad is a billionaire because they saw some AI articles. That, like I said, being pro-Israel after October 7, once again, you're just going to always have to hold that permanent L. You might, over time, try to restructure your opinion, but you're holding that permanent fucking L. And that's not the only, that's not the only L that Destiny has held. I mean, he's held other things too. Potentially the hand of a Nazi and maybe some other stuff from a neo-Nazi, but I don't know. Something that I always try to explain. You mean they made AI articles? Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it's so stupid. You want to know why it's stupid? Because if my dad was a billionaire, like those AI articles suggest he is, he would literally be on every list. He'd be the second, third, fourth wealthiest person in the country, in Turkey. Okay? He would be on lists. And it's really interesting that no one even exercises a little bit of critical thinking because they're so invested. Here's the meta-analysis. Here's the meta-conversation. Okay? When you get very passionate, and we do this in this stream as well, I urge you sometimes, when something seems so perfect, when something sounds so good, my immediate reaction to it is like, I'm going to exercise caution. Certain things are too good to be true. Socialist with a billionaire father. Sounds like something that might be too good to be true. Now, I am my own person. So regardless of my father's opinions, beliefs, or financial status, that still wouldn't really matter in this conversation, but at least it would matter for the memes, right? And what these people should do is maybe engage in a little bit of critical thinking, but they can't because they're so excited. They're so excited and so invested, right? That they don't realize that this causes many people to lose sight of that muscle that you normally are supposed to exercise, the critical thinking muscle. That's the problem. Okay? So these people who are very invested, in like finding the truth, and the best possible way to find the truth is through spirited debate, like they end up shutting off certain parts of their minds that under normal circumstances would cause them to be a little bit more critical with certain narratives that sound too good to be true. Okay? That's it. This is something that I talked to with Ta-Nehisi Coates about yesterday. With regards, the topic was in regards to Israel, but like, there's only so much that you can be wrong on until you just are wrong all the time and you are no longer interested in the truth whatsoever, and you find yourself seeking out conspiracies further and further, okay? And you become like a QAnon supporter, basically. Or after the fourth time, you're like, okay, instead of spiraling out of control and seeping further and further into madness, I should exercise a little bit of caution and really reconsider some of my first principles, some of my immediate lapses of judgment. That is the problem. And I think a lot of the debate space in general is so hyper focused on being right and or at least like appearing right and defeating and humiliating your interlocutors in the marketplace of ideas that you just have no interest in finding out the truth at all. And slowly but surely, you go further and further into trafficking in falsehoods. Because as long as your in-group is repeating those falsehoods, then it might as well be correct. After all, everyone around me thinks it's correct. You know? Kind of how very postmodern of you, kind of like how you said you would end up eventually right in the end. I thought facts didn't matter as much as stories. Yes. I'm talking about the dangers of this. Do you just hear me say, unfortunately, narrative trumps the truth? Unfortunately, narrative is more important than the facts. And you think, oh, he believes this? Instead of hearing the things that come after that, which is, this is me telling you to exercise caution. Sometimes I think people are too stupid to have a conversation with. This person, I believe, is one of those people. People go into, it's really, really interesting that people go into the debate space because they want to repeat what they think are intellectually sound arguments. Everyone wants to be smart. People in this community do it. I do it as well, okay? Everyone wants to be smart. Everyone knows that maybe they're not that smart, but at least they want to appear smart, okay? Now, I recognize I'm a dumbass, and I repeat it. I repeat that fact all the time. People in this community do it. People in Destiny's community do it. Everyone does it. People that read New York Times articles do it as well. Everybody does it. But the problem is, when people are so predisposed with appearing smart and repeating a person's takes that has consistently been wrong, they don't realize that, you know, they're not coming across as intelligent at all. Maybe rhetorically you can bully your interlocutor in that moment, okay? But you're still wrong. You're just confidently and loudly and proudly wrong. That's it. The difference is, I think I'm at least smart enough to understand that I don't know everything.
And shouting those fighting words that officials now fear could be considered a call to action. An outburst from Luigi Mangione, shackled and handcuffed as he was dragged into court.
As completely out of touch. and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people. It's scientific fear.
Sheriff's deputies wrestling him inside. He refused to waive extradition to New York, where he's charged with murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
When I entered my appearance, and for the record, he's pleading not guilty to this. And I've seen zero evidence at this point.
The judge denied bail. Mangione kept quiet as he left court, head down. He's a threat to no one, but this morning the NYPD is alarmed by these posters outside the New York Stock Exchange.
A chatter in here offline got mad at me for saying all you're doing is picking and sucking a chicken out of your teeth, and then talked about you having an abscess in your nerves or something, and said out of nowhere how I don't think ticks are valid. Wait, what? What is an abscess in my nerves? What?
Exchange and social media posts suggesting Mangione is a martyr.
We do a lot of work in the online space. As part of that,
yeah, they're blurring the face of the CEOs. I don't know why.
We'll surge resources, protective resources around the city wherever we need to when we're anticipating and dealing with a big uptick in threats.
In a confidential assessment obtained by ABC News, the NYPD says Mangione considered Thompson's murder a symbolic takedown of United Healthcare over perceived corruption, adding the suspect likely views himself as a hero of sorts who has finally decided to act upon such injustices. A copy of the suspect's alleged writings said United Healthcare was among corporations that have simply gotten too powerful, and these parasites simply had it coming. Mangione also referenced a spiral notebook that sources tell ABC News contained writings about the Unabomber, but how Mangione thought explosives could kill innocent people. The writings were found, police say, when Mangione was arrested at this McDonald's, seen eating a hash brown moments before.
Why is there a photo like this available? Like, is this a camera? Is this CCTV? I assume it has to be, right? Like, how did they snap this pic? Oh, it's a body cam? Wait, so cops walked up while he was in the middle of eating his hash brown? That's crazy. The motherfucker was still eating a hash brown while the cops walked up?
My one friend made the comment. He thought it was, he goes,
I feel like it's probably CCTV though.
Don't that look like the shooter from New York?
An employee called police.
The worker that took his order, she said his eyes and his eyebrows. She just thought it was him.
Police say the gun Mangione had looks very similar to the gun used in the murder, capable of firing 9mm rounds and made at least in part with a 3D printer. Earlier, the suspect tried checking into this Altoona motel, but no room was available.
There was somebody that checked in, and the officer goes, "Did he have a mask on? Did he ever take a mask off?" I was like, "Comes back." No, he never did take the mask off. He says, "I'll be down there in 5 minutes to talk to you." We pulled it up on surveillance and sure as stuff, they go, "Yeah, that's him."
Mangione had been out of touch with his family for months. In November, sources tell ABC News his mother filed a missing persons report in San Francisco. The sources say investigators in Pennsylvania have started interviewing his relatives, perhaps asking about internet posts in which Mangione wrote about back pain, brain fog, and sciatica. Mangione at one point writing, "It's absolutely brutal to have such a life-halting issue." His former roommate in Hawaii said Mangione struggled with a back injury.
Unfortunately, he did let me know that the severity of his back issue was such that it was very difficult to have physical relationships with women, that it made things painful.
Mangione's case has become a cause, with admirers posting videos like this on Instagram. His X page gaining 300,000 new followers.
The person that I knew 8 years ago and the person that he allegedly has become today could not be more different.
A former classmate left stunned.
I've still been in a little state of disbelief that this kid that I knew from high school 8 years ago is now the most high-profile killer, allegedly, in the country. I would never have had anything bad to say about him.
Since some of Mangione's internet posts reference dealing with a debilitating...
I'm going to do the Terry Yummy collab, chat. I'm going to do it. That'll be fun. There'll be some fun content. Did this person respond to my takes? He's right. Most insurance companies work to reduce their denial rate. Damn. Well, the United one didn't work that hard, it seems, considering that their denial rate was, what, 32%? And was the highest one out of all of them. So why is it that they have a denial rate to begin with then? Like, why would they, what motivates an insurance company to reduce their denial rate? Market competition, is that what you're going to say? Eagles fan and a gamer. I pray you've bitten off too much this time. Yeah. Hasan, you don't understand. The multi-billion-dollar company that works with $500 billion in revenue, that generates $500 billion in revenue, that has a 6% profit margin, which amounts to around $33 billion. That company actually doesn't want to make that. It's just forced to make that $33 billion in pure profit. You don't understand. United Health CEO faces backlash after leak video defense stopping unnecessary care. Yeah, unnecessary care. Dude, people are using too much healthcare in this country. Okay? Too much. Too much of everything is bad. Including too much of anything is bad, you know? Including too much healthcare. You don't understand. Like chemotherapy. United CEO Andrew Whitty just sent a memo to staff, leaked to me, hailing late CEO as one of the good guys who had a profoundly positive impact on the lives of so many people. Whitty adds, he was certainly one of the smartest guys. I think he was one of the best guys. Staff are frustrated with how tone deaf the response has been. Yeah, too much healthcare is irresponsible. Too much profits, on the other hand, not irresponsible. Yeah, also, under Brian Thompson's reign, the denial rate went up. I don't know if these are the correct numbers, but I'm pretty sure they went up. So, unforeseen healthcare bills and coverage denials by health insurance in the United States by the Commonwealth Fund show that some doctors are incentivized to deny care using a click and close policy, which promotes bonuses based on the quantity of cases reviewed and hence incentivizes speedy reviews. I mean, the automated AI process in this should tell you everything you need to know. Please, I work in the field. Look at my messages. There are built-in rejections that they simply hope revenue teams don't catch and then resend. They usually get paid the second time around, in my experience. I work in government healthcare, and we've seen firsthand how claims would be denied even when there was nothing wrong with them. We'd send them back, and suddenly they'd be fixed. The system relies on the assumption that most companies won't double-check. So they just pass the cost on to the patient. They get away with it by claiming they reevaluated the claim. In reality, they're incentivized to deny claims. Yeah. I mean, so many aspects of this. So many aspects of this is just like, is willingly making this process as complicated as possible and creating unnecessary hurdles that must not exist with the hopes that people don't actually turn around and fix it. And then they're left with the cost. They're left footing the bill. And for the record, you can still turn a profit without these silly moves, you know? That's the worst part about this process is that, like, yes, profit margins do have a tendency to, or profit rates do have a tendency to decline. But having said that, you could still manage like some level of profit even under a capitalist structure. The issue is it's never enough. You have to consistently up the ante. You have to consistently churn out more and more profit. And that's precisely why there are so many, like millions of different ways in which these companies make everything shittier. The problem is twofold. On the victim side, on the recipient side, when it's more difficult, you end up sometimes just refusing to take the care on at all, knowing full well that you will get denied, and then you die. You just decide to take the L. Some people decide to kill themselves. Others take the coverage and then are saddled with lifelong medical debt when the denial comes in. There are a million different stories like this. This is precisely the reason why there is so much anger towards both the systems and also the CEOs. Because the second part of the story is when you add these unnecessary hurdles that are specifically designed to improve profit margins for your shareholders, you get rewarded for it as the CEO. So the notion that the CEO is actually not responsible for this is idiotic because they're getting paid for it. They're directly being paid for it. They're being paid to hire the exact right guys that find new and creative ways of making this process more costly to the consumer. And what's really interesting about it is that if you yourself are not a healthcare CEO or a healthcare executive or someone who has like a tremendous amount of stocks, you know, if you're like a board of trustees guy for a big healthcare industry company, why the like you're infinitely more likely to be over by the healthcare system. Why would you ever defend this? It makes no sense. As a pharmacist who worked in retail, hospital, government, trade org, and now pharma industry, I can guarantee you it doesn't even matter the frequency of denials. It's even more critical and excruciatingly frustrating what they deny. Formularies are the lists of what gets covered and for how much. Formulary reform would be a temporary solution. Universal healthcare would be ideal. And for the record, this process is why healthcare is so costly in this country, because there's an unnecessary middleman who is not interested in lowering the cost at all, but actually carrying over whatever it can back to the consumer. As mediators, they do not argue against the pharmaceutical corporations. Sometimes they own the pharmaceutical corporations. So then they're doubling on the profits on the pharmaceutical side as well. Every aspect of for-profit healthcare is completely busted in this country. And the proof is in the data. That is precisely why the likes of Ben Shapiro and many other charlatans that try to defend this unjustifiable, parasitic system of for-profit care can only point to like random cherry-pick stats like America's #1 in brain cancer treatments. Okay, great. Look at our life expectancy, which of course is there's a multitude of different factors that factor into this this number being so low in comparison to other OECD nations. But it's ridiculous that these people that are supposed to be facts-based, these people that are supposed to not care about the feelings, these people that are supposed to be logical thinkers, intellectual giants like Ben Shapiro or even Destiny, refuse to understand the broader picture. Now, with Ben Shapiro, I understand why he refused to reckon with the broader picture. His job requires him not to. He has to defend the structures. He has to defend capitalism. But for a contrarian weirdo like Destiny, it is always shocking when he just chooses some of these battles. But I guess he does it because he wants to be a perma-contrarian. And also on top of that, he likes taking like hard to defend positions and seeing if he can defend these hard to defend positions. Sorry. To be clear, insurance companies do not own pharmaceutical manufacturers. Those entities are directly oppositional, but insurance companies do own pharmacies. Sorry. Pharmacy benefit managers and other healthcare services, thus creating a monopoly. Someone is saying that AR loyals got deleted. I will admit that is a pretty solid first step in the right direction for Aiden Ross. If he truly deleted his comms, his Twitter comm, that is one, a major W for everyone in this space. Okay. For those of you who don't know, AR Loyals is Aiden Ross's Twitter community. It is infested with the most freak-like Nazis out there. It was. He already did that a year ago. They reformed very quickly somewhere else. They're like chemo-resistant cancer. They are very similar to They're very similar to two other content creators. One who still operates and weaponizes his community, Diddy G. The other who, I don't even know what has happened, but it's like super old school, Ice Poseidon. Yeah, it was one of the largest. Aiden Ross released the largest streamer community on X for the second time this year. Fans are speculating this is a major move to get Aiden unbanned on Twitch. Yeah, I think he wants to get unbanned on Twitch because he has nowhere else to go because he voluntarily left Kick. I don't know why. I don't know if he's actually mentioned why, but I mean this is a good thing in general. He said Diddy G. Yeah, I'm talking about DGG, but I call him Diddy, like for P Diddy. But yeah, I said that Aiden Ross, the first step would be for him to purge his community if he wants to reform. He did not voluntarily leave Kick. Aiden rigged bets on 2K2 on stake. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know. I like that it still has the stake logo, by the way. That's so funny. What's good? What's good? Here, the bag is over here. But some of the stuff, some of the fixings are on the kitchen island. No, we're going on our own. And I assume Will's not coming. Yeah. Ain't no way, dude. Ain't no, that's a someone rocking the John Brown. Someone rocking the John Brown merch rolled up to the Tulsi Gabbard RFK meetup. That's amazing. It's hilarious. Yes, I'm going to be working out with Bradley in a second.